Hey there, this is Joe Gilder from HomeStudioCorner.com. We're talking a little bit more about Get It Right at the Source. If you're getting sick of these videos, I'm sorry. I've never done a series of videos on just how to get it right at the source. Everything's been really focused on stuff inside the software, editing, mixing, mastering, those types of things. And I feel like there's a real lack in my videos on this particular topic. So we're going to knock it out. I've got a lot more ideas, so just keep coming back. I'll keep putting them out. Okay, so today we're going to talk about getting it right at the source, the room. Okay, you hear lots of people talk about how you need acoustic treatment in your room, right? You need some things on the walls, these cute black things I have over my shoulders, stuff on the ceilings maybe, foam, bass traps, all those things. Gobos, whatever you want. And that stuff, especially things like bass traps, really important. Really important. I love folks like RLX, great stuff. But it's generally not as crucial for recording. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. You need to have a nice, accurate room for mixing, right? For recording, you just generally, in most cases, you just need a good sounding room or a dead sounding room. So if you're doing something like a lead vocal, if you sing into the microphone and you hear the voice bouncing around the room, that's going to come through in the recording. That's not a good job of getting it right at the source. You need to figure out a way to isolate that vocal. If that means putting them in a closet, yes, that might have some adverse effects on the tone, but if it helps with the sound of the room, getting that out of the recording, then it might be worth doing. So you just have to experiment. A lot of guys like to use blankets. Blankets are a great option of deadening some sound, stopping some reflections. Maybe have them with their back to a closet full of clothes where the microphone is facing them and behind them there's no reflections, so a little bit of that room doesn't come out. Maybe you buy one of those microphone guards that are so popular right now that go back behind the microphone. That might be an option as well. You've got to take into account that whatever microphone you're using, it doesn't know to just listen to this instrument. It just knows to listen to everything, especially if it's a condenser mic. So it's going to hear the sound of your room. It's going to hear the sounds bouncing around. So you have to deal with that somehow. And for me, I find that just listening, as shocking as that might sound, is kind of the key to doing that. You have to record it, stop for a second, and just listen through your headphones or speakers and see what it sounds like. If you hear way too much room, you've got to move some things around and try something different. Maybe a different microphone, or maybe you just need to move to a different room, or maybe you need to spend some time putting some sort of absorption up in your room to get less of that live sound and a little tighter sound. Now, when you're recording things like drums, maybe you want it to be a really lively room. That might be the case. Either way, you've got to make sure the drums are in the right spot in the room, and you've got to listen. You got to listen, you got to listen. Before you put a microphone up on anything, just stand in the room and listen. Use these little things right here. What does it sound like? Does it sound good? If it doesn't sound good in the room, it's not going to sound good on the recording. Just write that down. If it doesn't sound good in the room, it's not going to sound good on the recording. And you're just fighting an uphill battle trying to get it right at the source when the source, your room, sounds awful. So take some effort. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You may not have to spend any money to get your room to sound better, but try to do whatever you can, even if it's ugly, to make your room a little more suitable for recording. And you'll find that your recordings start to sound a lot cleaner and a lot better. Because think about it. If I put one microphone on one instrument and I record that, and then I record another instrument and another and another, that microphone is essentially taking a snapshot of the sound of your room with every recording. And so that could add up. If you have 20 tracks, that's 20 tracks of instruments, but also 20 tracks of the sound of your room. That's going to add up, and it's going to start to pervade your mix, and you're going to not be able to get rid of that room sound. So deal with it at the source. At the source, that's what's most important. And I think you'll find it makes things a lot easier and better on the back end when you're mixing.